a very doable DIY project. I was scared to try this initially with the understanding that I needed to pull down the headliner. I really did not want to do that. Okay, you can do it. Don't be afraid of it. Save yourself $1,300, right? I've stepped you through what it takes to do this. All right, this is not a normal episode for me. I need to make a little modification to the LX. And by the end of the day, I'm gonna either think this is genius or I'm gonna be in the middle of a big headache. So what I'm doing is I've ordered a roof rack. It's a Sherpa roof rack to go on top of the LX. The current setup, these bars, they don't work for me. I need more capacity up top to do some things we're going to do. And from what I'm hearing, what I hear from Sherpa is that I need to pull the headliner down. I've seen some videos online where it's been pulled down, other videos where they manage to do it without, but don't necessarily go into the specifics of how to do that. The trick to this whole thing is that there isn't a threaded nut inside to mount this front bolt for the rack. If you have a Toyota Land Cruiser, it's there, but on the Lexus, they don't put it in. So we've got spots here to anchor this new rack, and we got to figure this out. I don't want to pull the headliner unless I really have to. I've got a plan. We're going to see if it works. I'll kind of step you through what I'm going to do and let you know if it's successful or not. So stay tuned. First thing I need to do is to get my WeBoost antenna removed. Then I can pop these caps off on each 4 of the corners, take 2 bolts out of each, remove this, and then we can get into the installation. I got a little towel here just to protect the paint. I'm noticing as I look at the other side, there is a notch right here and right here. I'm wondering if I get into those. There we go. All right, so I saw a video where they were prying right there. I think you're better off working with that right there. That's what we're after. You remove the trim. Now we can get back down here. And the trick is you have to remove these. You have to back them out. You don't want to use a power tool and just drive them out really quick because there's this plastic retainer that holds it in place. And if it falls down inside, then you do have to remove the headliner to get it out and work with this. But right now it's 10 millimeter. So the recommendation is you break it loose, maybe a couple of turns, go to the other one. Couple of turns, then you just slowly work these up. Just back and forth, a little tedious, but if it means I don't have to pull my headliner down, I'm all over it. Making some progress with it, and maybe at the same time minimize downward pressure onto it so you're not pushing it down and unseating it inside. Ooh, okay, now there, I'm finger loose. Now what I'm going to do is repeat that process 3 more times, and then I'll come back here and show you what comes next. Okay, update. Each corner is done. I've actually completely undone. You can see my bolts sitting right there. These are the last 2 I have to do. I'm gonna raise these up, and then at that point we lift the rack off, and we are ready to move on to the next step, which is installation. If this works, this is really good because this is taking me 20-30 minutes tops to be able to get this rack off. All right, let's see how this goes. Undo the one. And, maybe before I go much further, I want to point out something right here. There are some brands of roof racks that they recommend you use a ton of silicone to seal this all up. I want to, as I pull this off, I want to see and observe the factory rack. Does it have any silicone that I'm dealing with? And I believe my answer is going to be no. What they're doing is they're using this rubber gasket, which should seal this up, not requiring any silicone, which is closer to a stock or factory application in my mind. So the other corners are loose. I should be able to just, there we go, lift that up. And we are ready. I'm going to move my ladder so I'm a little more centered. And I'm actually gonna just step inside here. That'll be perfect. So I'm under and under. There we go. That's simple. So, right here, this is the trick. Those little yellow sleeves, there's a plastic retainer that holds this locking mechanism inside. If I push those down in, it's loose in the headliner. I've got a 2-day headache pulling the headliner out, putting it back in order to install this rack. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take a pair of needle nose vice grips here, pop that on there, and just give a little pinch so that I'm not gonna push it down in. Now this is a sleeve that goes down, and now what I want to do is to just screw that in a little bit to make sure that I'm not going to bump it. And now I've got that one. Pliers can go away. And just pull up on that as I put that one in there. Maybe the vice grips on one side is overkill, but to me, just guaranteeing I'm not going to be creating a lot more work for myself, I thought it was a good idea. I'm going to do that on the other 3 just to make sure that we're good, and then I'm going to start to just clean that up a little bit, and then start to bring out my pieces and get my Sherpa rack installed. Now, the other part is here, okay? This is where we have, okay, so this pops forward and then in. It did go forward. There we go. Okay, so that releases. You can see how it's secured, and looks like I maybe broke a tab off, but I don't plan on putting it back on there right now. I'm getting a better idea out of this one to see how that works so that I can try to preserve the other ones. But right here is where we want to put the next bracket. All right, I don't know what I was expecting right here, but this isn't it. Everything I've heard in my research, talking to people, getting quotes for $1,350 to install a rack for me, I didn't expect this because everything I had heard, this was not threaded. There was nothing threaded here, so I was really surprised to see a couple of bolts. Now, those bolts, they've got to be threaded into something. So if they're threaded into something, it's like here I can see they're obviously a smaller size. It's probably an M6 versus an M8. But if I have 2, 4, 6, 8 bolts that are M8 and 4 that are M6, is that really changing significantly the rating or the structural integrity of the rack? I don't know, but I'm going to take these out and see what I've got. I may just stick with M6 bolts for right here, if it's that much easier for this install, and it's looking like that might be the case. So I'm going to take the same approach, very easily back those out, just like I did with the other 4 sets, and see what's going on there. If that's the case, this is going to be easier than I thought. If not, what my plan is to actually insert a nut zerk. So just have it drilled out so that I can put in a nut zerk for an M8 size bolt right here. And I can still do that, but I just want to get this off and kind of see what's going on, and then we'll go from there. All right. Well, we're finger loose. We're off. And honestly, it's a smaller head. It's a 10 millimeter head, but it looks like an M8 thread. I'll have to confirm that, but we might be all right there. And I want to point out that there's no silicone, just rubber gaskets. And so I really appreciate Sherpa going that direction versus other manufacturers that just have you use silicone. Because I've been in some forums and there's been discussion about somebody having a rack installed for several years and they're starting to get some leaking from the silicone. So I'm hopeful that I will not experience that with the Sherpa with the rubber gaskets. Just to be safe, get those threaded back in there. Okay, so I don't know. There's something there and it's threaded. And that's the whole reason why you were supposed to take down the headliner inside, was because there's nothing threaded inside and you have to access it and use those nuts from the inside. So I'm cautiously optimistic right now. This is going to go a lot easier than I thought it would, and that we're going to be much less time involved in doing this job. All right, what I'm going to do needs to end up level. And there's 2 options for mounting that middle bracket. It's designed to be in one or the other. I'm not clear on which one it is. So I'm gonna get the back one mounted and the front one mounted. Then we're gonna figure out which one of those 2 has it sitting level. Because ideally, looking at this span, I don't know, there's a 4th bracket that goes here. It just rests. And you'll see that in a minute. But with this, it kind of makes sense that maybe there's 2 here and then 2 there. So we wouldn't be using this one. That's a little longer span. So I think we're going to end up going with that one. We're going to find out. Okay, so right here, I have my pile of parts. These are the rubber gaskets that Sherpa provides. All right, 1 for each side, 1 for each foot, all the way up to the front. I'll set those others out of the way. These sleeves go like so. Inside and inside. And then there's supposed to be a thinner side of these rubber gaskets that is supposed to go to the center of the vehicle, probably because there's a little bit of a slope, and so that helps to level it up. But I'm having a hard time seeing the difference. They're pretty squarish. all around, if you ask me. I can't really identify which side is thinner. It's not that, I mean, these holes are centered, so it's not that they're talking about where the holes are drilled. So I'm going to just do my best guess. And as I set this on here, you can see right there, the stainless steel sleeve is supposed to go over the top. I'm going to be very careful as I try to push that down that I'm not dislodging it underneath. In fact, right now, I think it makes a lot of sense to go ahead. There's a crush washer here with the rubber seal. So I'm going to go and get the other side ready to go, but that's going to just help to hopefully make sure I don't push that down, and we'll be good to go. Okay, let's do a recap here. I've got the other side ready, and coming over to this driver's side, we have the rubber gasket with the metal sleeve. Metal sleeve sits over the top of the plastic sleeves that go down and retain the nuts inside. So as I drop this down and we work on putting this in place, lining up my holes, I've got all of my crossbars are just loose. They're in place, but they're loose, so I can easily move and adjust things. But as I work with this, when I tried to do this on the other side, as I started to use these M8 bolts that Sherpa sent to me, I really felt a little resistance as I was trying to get it on, and I like downward pressure, and I didn't want to dislodge it. Because remember, dislodging means pulling out the headliner. We don't want to go there. So what I have done on the other side is I've just secured it with the factory bolts for the time being as I figure this out. But for right now, that one feels like maybe it's biting. It is. Okay, so good. If I can get them to go in without any resistance, I'm okay using the bolts that Sherpa sent to me. But I don't know, are they really any superior to this? I don't know. We'll use them. But to that point, I have not yet put the thread lock on. I want to get things in place and make sure I have them where I want them. Then I'll go back to each individual one, apply some thread lock, and make it permanent. So that's where we're at. We'll go ahead and set the camera down and get this side done up. Okay, got another one of these. That did bite, so that's good. Now I'm not worried about pressing that retaining nut down and through. And these bolts, the factory is a 12 millimeter. These take a 14. And that one took. So that's good. That means we're in place. And we're a little bit this way with this. It'll slide that way a little bit more as we adjust things. But it's on. It's where it needs to be. It's got 4 bolts holding it in place. Good. Now we're going to move to the front and repeat the process again. And then we'll determine where we're going to set up the middle. I want to go with this one right like this. Get a couple of sleeves. Get them in place. Set that in place. That one is in. Now we're going to go to the other side. All right. So far, things are going really well. I am crossing my fingers. I'm very optimistic. I'm not going to have to pull the headliner down. I've got this front bar in, and that's the one that I was most concerned about in understanding I'd probably have to put a nut zerk there. But I've got them screwed in. It's there. So, cross the fingers. Now, the stock rack mounted right here and then in the back, but you can see right here there's another option, and I think that's a better placement. I'd go with 2 bars in the back, this bar here, and there's another one that comes up here, and I'll show that to you in a little more detail later. But so there'd be 2 in the front, 2 in the back, a little wider span here in the middle. So that's going to go right there. Get this sitting in place. Let's see what we get. Yep, it went. Let's do another one. All right, I've been busily threading them and realizing right now I don't have to do that. It'll push. You just kind of wiggle it a little bit. There we go. Much quicker and easier on my fingers. Okay, those are secured. We'll go do the same thing on the other side. All right, my concern going into this whole project was I didn't want to drop the headliner. I've heard, seen, been told I've got to drop the headliner to make this work. But I've also seen some examples online where maybe you have to, maybe you don't. I have, at this point, I have my 3 brackets in place, and I think it looks level. I think that's where I want them. There's the 4th bracket that goes and sits up front, but I've got all those in place, bolts in. I don't have to drop my headliner, which is a huge win. I am literally 2.5 hours into this, maybe even less. Right now, just super excited to have it to this point. I've been dreading this. I was like, I really want this on. I don't want to pay $1,350 for somebody to do what they said was 4 or 5 hours work. And that seems about right for the time estimate to do this. If you're a technician and you're doing this regularly, yeah, you could really dial your process in and do this pretty quickly. But for me, no experience, I'm pretty happy with where we're at. All right, I'm going to start to level these up a little bit. I'm not going to adjust the length yet. That'll come in just a second, but I need to get these feet Loctited in. So that's the next step. All right, going to do a little test here. So I just set this sheet of plywood, just a strip of it on there. You can see that I'm not resting very level here. I also wonder if there's a specific design. Is there a left side, right side for this front bracket? So I'm going to slide this back. I've unfastened this. I'm going to just turn it around and see if it makes a difference at all in how that is resting on there. So the answer is yes, it does make a difference. I had it turned around the wrong way. So if you have that scenario of you've put it on, you're a little angled here in relation to everything, flip it around. This bracket goes to the other side. In that scenario, I've already flipped it so they're right where they need to be, sitting nice and tight. Happy with that. Got to put those 4 bolts back in, but I'll go ahead and do the Loctite on them right now. So we're going to be good to go. All right, we'll get that step done. All of the brackets in, Loctited in, they're secure. What I'm working on now is leveling up or evening out the bars so that they're the same amount of overhang on each side. I'm measuring from this point here out. What I'm getting right now is 5 3/4 of an inch. So for this bar, I'll check this one and that one, get them leveled up, and get back to you in a minute. Got a little sunshine left for the day. Bars are centered, snugged down. Where we're at right now is ready to put on the side, right through here. Just hold that in. Well, let me get one in here.
Or just one?
Yeah, looking good. That's the profile. Laser cut, Sherpa rack looks great. That is perfect. It ends right there. You can see there's no interference with the antenna. Kind of that edge. I like it. I like the Sherpa Mountain logo with my Bushwhacked Adventure logo. It's a nice tie-in. Carol likes that too. So I have 5-bar crossbars to add. All right, I'm just going through right now, tightening up the last of the hardware. And there's a lot of it, but it's good. This is a very doable DIY project. I was scared to try this initially with the understanding that I needed to pull down the headliner. I really did not want to do that. Did enough research on it to figure out, I'm going to give it a try. And I'm glad I did, because it's taken me a day. I've probably put 6 hours into it. But overall, it's doable. Last 2. I've been all the way around it. I should be able to stand on it, right? Here we go. Top view. Looking good. I didn't see in the instructions where to put that, but that's where I decided I wanted it. So, cool little plaque. Okay, you can do it. Like I said, I had a little anxiety about it, but did a little bit of research. Hopefully, I've stepped you through what it takes to do this. Don't be afraid of it. You can do it. Save yourself $1,300, right? Okay. This is, there's a reason why this is going on. I haven't mentioned this yet on the channel. I'm not going to mention it yet, but we've got a trip in mind. And with that trip, I need to have a little more capacity. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. Completely doable if you are somewhat mechanically inclined, as long as you follow some specific steps and are careful not to push the retained nuts down into the headliner. You do not need to use or remove the headliner. Up here in the front, there are nuts up there. I'm secured into them. I was told there's not. I had planned on maybe putting in riv nuts, but I didn't need to because they're there. We're good to go. Rack is on. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Click the bell to receive notifications for future content. That's all, folks. See you on our next adventure.